Finding a long-term rental in San Pedro can be a pretty daunting task, especially finding the in and outs of where to start, who to talk to, the things that you need to know. And for that reason, in this video, we have a very special guest. We have one of our successful long-term rental persons that have moved to the island to see if the island is for them. Because the reality of the matter is sometimes you can come to the island and you are sure that it is for you. You want to make the move, you jump on something, whether it's land, home, or condo. But another time, it might be better if you're not that sold on the location that you come down for 6 months or a couple months out of the year to figure that out. In this video, we have Milagro Lopez. She is one of the newest expats who has joined the island life in San Pedro, and we will let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, so my name is Milagro Lopez, and yeah, I am new to San Pedro with my family, my son, and my husband.
Milagro, I remember when we got off through Instagram. I mean, I saw you were a real estate agent as well in Florida. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you come from, and overall, what are the reasons why you chose to try to see if San Pedro was the right fit for you?
Yeah, so I've been doing real estate for about 6 to 7 years in Florida. Love what I do. And, you know, in the United States, it's a different way of life. It's a hustle and bustle and grind all the time. So I think for me and my husband, we wanted to see what else was out there in the world. What else does this world have for us? And when we visited San Pedro, it was like we were like taken back because we're like, wow, this feels like home. And we've traveled, you know, to plenty places. I would say, you know, Bahamas, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, DR, Italy. But when we came to San Pedro, it was just like that welcoming home feeling. So that's why we figured, let's give it a try.
You said, okay. You said you wanted to give it a try. And reality, when you say want to give it a try, I mean, I have never lived anywhere else but San Pedro. So for me, thinking to relocate to another country where, do you have any family here?
No family.
All right. So you have no family. You have no foundation to where to start off. You can't say, oh, I'm going to go live with my uncle and we'll see if it works. And then I'm just coming back.
No.
Where did you start? And was this your idea? Was this your husband's idea? Was he like, are you crazy? You know, how was that like?
So I'm the crazy one, right? I'm always with my head in the clouds. And my husband is like, all right, girl, relax. So yes, obviously it was my idea. So it was my idea, and it's funny because before we came here, we had before we moved here, we visited only twice before, and we had made a 6 to 7 year plan. We're like, okay, when this one graduates and that one, we'll do X, Y, Z. So we had like this long-term plan, and I think life happened. Life happened, things changed, feelings changed, emotions changed, and we were both kind of just like, let's do it now. We're like, why not? Let's take the plunge. We're still young enough. We're still, he's in his early 40s. I'm in my late 30s. So I feel like we're still young enough to start a new life and start over and, you know, soil our roots here in San Pedro. I feel like, you know, I want to be here long term. So far, so good. But obviously, this is still the honeymoon stage, right? I'm being realistic. So that's why we started off with just a rental, just to, you know, make sure this is what we wanted and make sure we're both happy. Because I want us to both be happy here and my son.
Yeah. And it's important that what you just mentioned, the honeymoon phase. Because, you know, I always say this, you know, when you come here as a vacationer, it just all seems just so perfect and it all just flows so perfect. And, you know, you're being attended to and all these. And then you start coming and then the first couple of weeks, it is like you just mentioned something and it was something that you probably maybe didn't know of or you weren't just expecting it to that degree. You mentioned that how in the afternoon you were driving and you weren't ready for the amount of mosquitoes you came across.
Yeah, so the mosquitoes are a real thing. And I think you had warned me. You said from this time to this time, it's like peak mosquito time, right? So yeah, I was driving home, peak mosquito time, and it was like, and it's a bumpy road to get back where I'm at. So it was just bumps and mosquitoes, and my son's like, ah! So it's just, we got a taste of the island life.
Yeah.
But, you know, those are the things that we have to learn, because I know certain times of the year, it's not that bad,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, I got a little taste of island life. This was just yesterday.
Well, you see, the reason I decided to want to make this video was because whenever clients reach out to me, or just overall general folks reach out to me and ask me, Job, can you help us with any long-term rentals? My answer to them is always, you know what, I can, but I can't, in the way that I don't do specifically long-term rentals and I don't get anywhere involved, because it's a whole different market. I feel like I can say now I'm an expert at the markets that I know, and trying to go into a different market, the rental market, is just not my vibe. But I always like to come from a place of help. So for that reason, I have created an ultimate guide for long-term living. And it was just an informal thing of frequently asked questions that I had always gotten all the time, or things that have always come. And at the beginning, when you reached out, you asked me it, and I'm like, you know what? Here's this article that I have for you. And you got to stay at the end so I can give you the details on how you can get that. But you worked through that, and I mean, thankfully you found a place.
Yes. That list was very helpful.
Give us a little bit feedback on how that list helped you, and what was that about?
First off, it was super detailed. Like, I was super impressed because, you know, we've been looking for a rental, and it's very hard. So again, American girl, we have everything at our fingertips. We're spoiled over there. And I know it. Even as a real estate agent over there, I just click a button and all of the listings in the state just pop up.
Even for rentals?
Even for rentals. So that is not the case here. So here you got to do a little bit of work. You got to search. You got to reach out to people. You have to make those connections. So yes, you were one of the people that we had reached out to. Hey, do you know of any long-term rentals? And you were honest. You were like, hey, I don't deal with it, but here, this will help you. This will help you. And it had email addresses, phone numbers, names, company names. It was, I can't remember how many, but there was a few phone numbers that I went through. And, you know, a lot of people didn't have rentals. So that was another thing. It was very hard to find a rental. It just wasn't, there's not a lot available, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. And then once we kind of found somebody, the rental that we're at now, that, you know, that helped us get this rental, it was kind of easy. And a little too easy, because I'm used to, when we rent in the States, it's like background checks, security deposits, credit checks. I want to see all your pay stubs. So over here, it's just like, this is what it is. You got the money? Thank you. Sign here. And I was just like, oh, okay, we got a rental.
Yeah,
so
first, last, and deposit, security deposit, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that is it. I was like, okay, easy peasy. Like, I'm not complaining, but it's just so cool to see the difference of, you know, just everything. Because we have a lot of, I would say there's advantages and disadvantages to both the States and being in here.
So you just mentioned it. There's a big difference when you're looking at rentals in the States and here. You mentioned some key fundamentals, but where do you go here in finding those rentals? Where did you look into?
Honestly, Facebook groups were super helpful because not only do you get information of what you're looking for, you also get other people's opinions. So it's kind of looking up Google reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was very helpful too, because people will tell you like, hey, yeah, this is located in the back with, you know, a bunch of mosquitoes, or that's a bumpy road. So the Facebook groups were very helpful because it allowed us to even ask questions to people. People were very helpful, and, you know, people love to talk once you ask them questions, and they love to give their opinions. So it was just very helpful to have that community on the Facebook group. And it was multiple groups. It wasn't just one, because there's like a San Pedro page, you know, there's different pages. So that's pretty much where you go when you're looking for a rental, is the groups.
That's right. I mean, you definitely have, because you always have that for rent by owner who may be looking into it. And again, in this guide that we're talking about, all this information will be on it, the actual link to these groups that I know and I follow through. With that said, what are major tips and things that you learned through the process of finding a rental and moving here? The whole overall process of that.
Okay, so like I had already said, it is challenging. It is not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's not just you look up something online and you know, and it's there. you have to ask questions, you have to investigate, you have to do research. Um, but it's also easier because they don't go into, well, most places don't go into too many details as far as, seeing bank statements or job verification or anything like that. So it's easy in that sense. And when you are looking, don't look too far ahead. I would say 3 months before you're looking to make the move is when you should start looking. Because if you find something 4 or 5 months out, they're not going to hold it for you, you know? And I would say another thing that I kind of learned the hard way was it was easier being here, looking at the rentals when you're doing it remote and you're not there. Yeah, you can probably send your agent or a friend to go look at the places. But sometimes the owners, they want to meet you. So I had a few owners like, well, if you're not here, we don't want to rent to you because we want to meet you. And, so it's a real thing. So it's easier when you hear. So those are some of the, I would say, challenges and obstacles, but nothing too crazy as far as, searching for a rental.
Absolutely. How about when it comes to the type of rental that you looked into it and you saw a lot?
Mm-hmm.
What are the amounts or the ratios of what you saw? Because a lot of people come here and think, oh, I want to find a house for rent, and then I have them. Wait a minute. First of all, there are I tell them this way: for every 10 apartments or condos they are available for rent, there's maybe at best 2 homes for rent. It's a whole lot harder to find a home than it is to find an apartment or a condo. But for you, what were the price ranges that you saw out in the market? And for what you were looking for, you're looking for a 2-2, right?
Yes.
2 bed, 2 bath?
Yep.
What were the price ranges that you came across?
So the price ranges, it's funny because a lot of people, they assume, oh, you're living in an island, it must be so cheap. It can be cheap, but it can be expensive. It depends, what your taste is. It depends what you're looking for. It depends how bougie you want to be, right? So I saw as low as $900 for I think it was a 2-bedroom, 2-story home. It was nice. It had everything it needed. But it wasn't furnished. You still needed to bring over your pots, your pans and things like that. I saw another one for about $1,200, which was nicer. It was more updated, but again, it wasn't furnished. And then I saw one for $1,600, which is what we have now, bells and whistles. It had everything. It had pots, pans, forks, plates, the sheets, the towels, furniture. So that was a little bit more easier for us because I didn't want to go into shipping all of our stuff just yet. So I felt like, hey, even though the other ones were cool because they were cheaper, I'm not going to lie, cheaper the better. But it would be more feasible if we looked for something that, was kind of turnkey and ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I even saw something for $2,000 a month. And that was just that was luxury living there. And we just didn't want to go that high. So we stuck with the middle and we're at 16.
Okay, that's a pretty good price. Because it's important for people to have that understanding of, I get this all the time. I want to live where the local lives. And I'm like,
do you?
Do you? I remember we had this thing going across about there was this really nice apartment that I would live on, but I know the neighborhood is very much of a local neighborhood. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not as, I would say, as usual to what, the American would expect of the neighborhood. You'd have barking dogs all around. You have dogs running around the yard. Maybe your neighbor doesn't care about the trash and he just leaves it, dumps it anywhere he wants. Those type of things are just, you really, when I hear people say, oh, I want to live where the locals live, I tell them, you come to this island and you see the expats that are living where the locals are living, they have a history of over 10 years in this island.
Wow.
They've come here. They don't need all the bells and whistles that, not saying you're that way, but they don't need to be beachfront. They don't need to be in a condominium complex. They're good with buying or finding a home off the beaten path. And that's big big difference. So when it comes to the home areas, there are a couple areas where you could look into that there are a larger number of homes available in that demographic. That list will also be in the resource I'll have for you. And an important thing that also you need to know that I'm not sure if you knew was that some condo complexes only do long-term rentals and some complexes do short-term rentals. So that is a big question that I have to ask buyers whenever I'm speaking with them, I'm like, what is your goal, and are you okay with having a condo that is only long-term rented? Because I always tell people who are looking for rentals, the entire island isn't just your canvas. There are specific condo complexes that you do need to look into, and we do have that list of complexes. And when it comes to the rentals, there isn't an attached property management for that specific condominium complex, because when it comes to long-term rentals, the owners can choose to rent it on their own, or they can use a property management who is a little bit more savvy and has a lot more connections. So all this information we will be having for you. Next thing too as well that we have to talk about is when it comes to transportation. I mean, a lot of people sometimes have this question, do I really need to rent a golf cart? What is your answer to that?
Here, yes. You definitely need a golf cart to get around. And unless you live like in the town and you can walk to the things, I'm kind of further south, which is off the beaten path, kind of. So yeah, you definitely need a cart to get around.
And what are the price ranges of golf carts that you've been looking at?
Well, the cheapest I found was like $550 all the way to about $700 per month, US.
US.
Yeah.
Okay, so $550 to $700 US per month, which is right around the same ballpark of what I've come across with. And another important thing when it comes to people coming down here, they want to know about pharmacy accessibility, hospital accessibility, and I know you have a funny story. Well, it's funny now when you look at it. When it was happening, you were probably freaking out. But give us that. Give it to us.
Oh man! So the day that we flew in, it's funny because we were at the airport. And, we're sitting at our gate waiting to board the plane. And I started chatting with this lady who was from here. And, I was letting her know, yeah, we're moving, all that good stuff. And then she's like, yeah, there's a brand new hospital in San Pedro called, I think it's Hope Clinic. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. Well, flew in and I ended up in Hope Clinic that night.
How did that happen?
Oh, boy. So we eat fish all the time. My son is 8 years old, so he's eating fish sticks and, salmon and shrimp and things like that. But I don't know. He had some fish sticks at one of the restaurants and his throat just started like getting tight. He was like kind of gasping for air. And then I freaked out. I told the waiter, call me a cab, pack my rum punch. We got to go.
You cannot leave the rum punch.
You cannot leave the rum punch. So they put it in a to-go cup and we went in the cab. And the hospital was right there. But as soon as we pulled up, it said Hope. I was like, really? We were just talking about it this morning with that lady. But at that point, I knew that it was the newer hospital because she was telling me it's newer, so it was nice. It was clean. They took care of us. We were in and out. And I mean, versus an ER trip in the States would be thousands of dollars. I think we only paid about $130, including medicine. He is okay. It was an allergic reaction to snapper. The fish is real, apparently. I guess what we eat in the frozen food aisle in the States is not.
It's maybe too frozen, too processed.
I don't know, but the fish is real. So now I have to watch out we're going to let him try a different fish, but we're going to, be on standby with the meds.
Yeah, and it's funny because snapper is the most popular fish here in the island. One of the most popular
Is
fish.
it?
So
Okay,
you
well, now
go
I
almost
know.
anywhere and you ask for fish, they're probably going to serve you snapper. So
Okay.
it's very important that you now go ahead and check that up.
Okay.
And when it comes to one of the last things is immigration-wise. A lot of folks ask, how can we live there? Can I be a resident overnight? Or, how does that work? Well, there's a lot of ways on how people go by it. Folks that don't really want to commit, they can just do month by month a visa extension. So when you come into the country, you're automatically given 30 days to be in the country. After those 30 days have passed, you have to check in on the day that it expires or before to go ahead and extend that for the price of $100 US per month per person. Then that is across the board, kids or adults. And you have to keep up that stamp, extend that visa to be able to stay in country. And then when it comes to residency, and this is just a quick overview, right? Because I know you yourself, you're looking at which way you're gonna go if
Mhm.
you do plan to be here longer. You can choose to go for residency, but that takes you about a year, and in between that year, you do have only 2 weeks that you can be out of the country. And then obviously the whole process that come along with that, we're not gonna touch into that. Or if you do want to somehow still find a work here, a lot of people go by it, you know, opening a business, setting up a business, and working as a business owner in that business and going through that process of work permit and what's not. Which, I mean, all these are videos we can probably. I'm just probably throwing out there. They're gonna happen.
Those are all each separate videos. So that's a
All
lot of
you see, yeah,
information you just said.
exactly, exactly. But we love when people come down here and want to live here, even if it's for long term, short term. We do that. We love that. And then immigration wise, there isn't any trouble unless you want to go and give trouble at the office, right?
Exactly.
The times that you've come, have they given you any trouble checking in the country, coming out?
Oh, actually, yeah.
Oh, really?
So when we flew in,
Was it customs or was it immigration?
So when you get off the airport, and that's immigration. No, that's customs. No, that's immigration. Immigration. Yeah. And then after that, you go to customs, right? Before you leave. Yeah. Okay, so I'm learning. My husband is still back home. He's gonna be here in a few weeks, but he had to like close up shop, the house and everything over there. They didn't want to let me in the country with my son.
Ah.
So they told me I had to get like written consent from my husband. He had to send a thing of his passport. Yeah. So yeah, if you're traveling with your children, make sure you have consent from the other parent if the other parent isn't present. Lesson learned.
Oh, okay.
I had a nice guy that day. Like he
was easygoing about.
He was easygoing, but I got a little afraid. I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? But he let us go. We showed him proof of everything, and we were fine.
Yeah, because there's a couple of requirements that you do need, especially when travel with minors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I know.
And finally, we're gonna cover when it comes to the actual shipping of stuff. No, I know you said you didn't want to have to buy your furniture here, but if you personally want to take that approach, we can help you with the links to those stores, department stores that you can check out here in the island or in the mainland for furniture. But you said you shipped some stuff down here. Give us a little overview on how that was.
It wasn't too bad. I'll be honest. I let my husband handle that part. We all like took initiative. Like, I'm gonna handle this, you handle that. So he did the bulk of that. But from what I understand is, we did door-to-door service. So they came and picked up our boxes. They had to have been within a certain dimension. So with certain boxes, if you wanted bigger boxes, you obviously pay more. And they picked everything up, and then they're gonna come bring it right to our doorstep. So I would say it wasn't too bad. The only thing, it does take about like 3 to 4 weeks for it to actually reach. So that's another thing I'm getting used to. There's no overnight delivery, nothing over here.
No Amazon Prime.
No Amazon Prime.
Okay, so 3 to 4 weeks delivery, and then you do have that door-to-door service that you can have.
Which I think we had to pay a little bit extra for it, but I was just like, just do it. And we didn't bring furniture or anything crazy. It was just like, little odds and ends, like basketball and, games for my son. My crock pot, because I can't live without it. And just a few things. So to me, I think it was well worth it to bring the things that, will make it feel like home here for us.
Feel a little bit more homey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Milagro, we wish you the absolute best in your first journey through Belize. We hope that you love it as much as a lot of other people have, and that you hopefully make this something that is going to be more than just 6 months.
Yes.
And, we're always here for anything, for help if you need it to. So with that said, guys, what is this giveaway that I'm giving? So after I spoke with Milagro over how we were going to do this video, we went through other stuff that I probably didn't have in the original guide I gave her. And we have a now upgraded guide, I would say. I even put out a Facebook post asking people who would do long-term rentals to reach out to me so my list can be bigger. If you want the list with all that contact information, all this information that Milagro got and more, there will be a link in the descriptions below called Long-Term Rentals Belize. you can go ahead and click that link. You will be prompted to request it. And once you request it, you will be receiving it so you can have that guide as well. I can tell you, at least for what I know, Milagro, that's the way you got this rental that you
Yeah,
did.
that's how it got us. It got us here, so it was helpful.
I'm glad it was. So with that said, guys, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and remember to hit the notification button, because if you do, when I do upload great videos like this, you'll be the first one to know. Have a good one.